Hi everyone, welcome to our weekly Q&A session, and today it is my pleasure to welcome here our coach Brittany. So hi Brittany, how are you today?
I'm doing well. Glad to be back on here.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, I think we can jump right in, and we already have a question from Annie. And let me see, right. And Annie is asking, during the day, I always try to tell myself, let it be like that, and it will be settled. Then I feel easy security, and then the night comes again when I feel the full fear and panic when I can't sleep. I don't know how to let go of it when I'm stuck in this problem every night and have to feel the effects every day. So, what do you think, Brittany?
Yeah, I think it's very, it can be, you know, feel like you're letting go. But sometimes it's hard to find that balance between letting go and like feeling like you're trying to force it. And it's also very normal to like waver back and forth between feeling like it's easier to let it be and just allow what happens to be there. And then there might be other moments where you feel like there's a little bit more struggle and more resistance. I think that's just very normal. And it's kind of like more practice into the that muscle of just, learning more and more. Like it's kind of like exercise. You got to keep practicing to get stronger. Like it's the same thing with insomnia. You have to continue to practice, working that muscle of like acceptance and working on getting, just more flexibility in your, brain and being able to be in moments that are hard and just allowing them to be there without that resistance and without that struggle.
Mhm. Right. Uh, Thank you for sharing. And maybe what I would like to add, like one big part of it is the self-kindness, right? You're gonna.
I totally that one very well.
I just wanted to share that self-kindness is very important because Annie, you're going through something really, really difficult in your life, and beating yourself up for not feeling great, for that you are still struggling with this. It's not going to help you. No, no, no. Uh, you have the cards, and you gotta play with what you've got. So uh, if it feels difficult, like what gave me a little bit of kind of what helped me mentally was like because I kind of like saw that people who struggle with insomnia, they are more self-critical towards themselves than people who, for example, are going through other things in their life. And just like, for example, somebody has fevers, right, or is sick for quite some time, and they don't beat themselves up. Of course, they feel sorry. They may feel upset about not feeling their best, not being able to do their everyday chores and obligations. But when we struggle with sleep, there is this extra layer of criticism, which I think comes from the idea that. If I could control sleep, I could just move something a little here or do something a little there, and I will sleep. Then it would be all sorted out. But unfortunately, sleep doesn't work in this way, right? So that's why the self-kindness is incredibly helpful. And I really one of the students, which has already a success story on Daniel's channel, said like, I thought that self-kindness is just some fluffy add-on, but in fact, it's a really important part of insomnia recovery. So Annie, self-kindness is the first thing, and second thing, when you feel so scared of the night, then maybe befriending wakefulness in some a little bit more active way. Like some people, they have picked up some new hobby like crocheting, watching TV, playing cards with neighbor, or or just going for a walk in the middle of the night. Just anything that will make the night a little bit easier and gives you a reason to look forward the night. Maybe it will not come immediately, but like Brittany said, it's about practicing this kind of like muscle. It's about practicing the acceptance, right? So it's about not trying to fight the reality of I'm awake. And since I'm awake, how can I make myself more comfortable or as comfortable as possible? And if befriending sounds too much for you, then how about tolerating? How can I tolerate the night more or better in this given moment? So this is what I wanted to share, and I hope this was helpful for you, Annie. And now we have a new question from Daniel. Hey, Daniel. Hi. Whenever something bad happens not related to sleep, I relate everything to, oh God, how am I going to sleep today then? How do I disconnect these thoughts? So, what do you think, Brittany?
Yeah, I think it can be very easy to correlate a lot of things with how well we sleep. And I remember I did that as well. It would, yeah, pretty much any circumstance, I would like, okay, how's this going to affect my sleep? Whether it was like, I don't know, like if I had to do like a big event the next day, or if I had like, my kids were like having a bad, rough day, something, anything really, like it would be like, okay, this is going to mess up my sleep because like it's affected me. But I think it'd be easy. Um, well, and not, I can think it's a little difficult to disassociate your sleep from everything else. But if we can kind of like take a step back and realize that sleep doesn't actually require much. All we need really is our sleep drive to sleep. And then everything else is just kind of like perception, like how much you perceive. Everything else is going to affect your sleep, whether it doesn't have to, but just realizing that we don't really need a whole lot to sleep. We don't need to have a good day. We don't need to have, all these 10 steps of things that we need to do every night to sleep. We just need to have that sleep drive. So just trying to learning to, I think, disassociate that between like all these different things that we've been trained to think that we need to be able to sleep can be helpful. And yeah, just try to find, as Veronika was saying earlier, I think it's helpful just to give yourself some kindness when something happens during the day that, just because, it's not, like I said, it's not going to affect your sleep doesn't mean it's not hard. And try to be kind to yourself in those moments, because that can be very powerful and it can help you just be able to bring that kindness back later in the night when you feel like, when you like, maybe you're like overthinking, rethinking, what happened in the day, or, whatever it might be. Just that self-kindness, I think, can be very, helpful just to help you to get through the moment and to, feel at ease no matter what happens.
Absolutely. What I would maybe add to this question is that maybe we can. It's very normal to kind of like forecast, like, oh my goodness, how my sleep is going to be, but we need to kind of like differentiate what is insomnia, the way we see it here, like insomnia as a fear of not sleeping, and like you have this layer of fear there, and what is sleep disturbance? Because what can disturb our sleep? There are like millions of reasons. It could be like stress in the day, like kids waking us up in the middle of the night, right, Brittany? Then it could be like health challenges, hormonal reasons, and there could be like many ways of how our sleep could be disturbed. But it is always how we react to it. When we can't sleep in the middle of the night, it's helpful to attribute it to something obvious, like, of course I can't sleep because I had this stressful thing going on in my during the day, so naturally the sleep is disturbed, right? And when you just attribute it to this obvious thing, then then we don't go down the rabbit hole of thinking like, oh, what did I do wrong, why I'm not sleeping, what is wrong with me, and so on. This in itself can actually disturb our sleep, our hyper focus on sleep, on monitoring the sleep, and how about the fact itself that we are not sleeping, right? So second thing what I wanted to mention is not seeing, like, for example, if it is anxiety related, like anxiety is an obstacle, because for many people, they often have, oh, I feel anxious, so this means I'm not going to sleep. They feel like, oh, I have to be in a perfect calm state in order to sleep. But maybe think back, Daniel, in your life when you were stressed or were sick or had another similar thing happening in your life and you slept, right? We call it like detective work. So if you can bring like this one reference that, oh, despite all of this happening, I slept, you still are able to sleep. It just uh, you don't need this perfect calm state. Like Brittany mentioned, the only thing that we require for sleep to happen is wakefulness, right? So, right. I hope we have answered this question for you, Daniel. And now we have another question from Ricky Ricardo. So, hello. When you're lying in bed and are unable to fall asleep for 30 minutes or a long period of time, what should you do? Are there things that we should say to ourselves or do when this happens? So, what do you think, Brittany?
Excuse me. I think it depends on the night, really. Sometimes it could be helpful to find something else to do, like get out of bed and befriend wakefulness in a way that you're doing a different activity, just to kind of help get your mind out of that like fight or flight mode where it's just trying to monitor for sleep, but it feels like this anxiety continue to rise. So that might be helpful if it's been a while and you feel like you're just getting more frustrated as you're lying there and you're just monitoring for sleep and nothing's happening. If you do, though, feel comfortable in bed and you're like, oh, I'm cozy, I don't really want to get up, and I feel at ease, it's just, I'm just not able to sleep. And it could be just helpful just to kind of like, just notice, the thoughts that are going on and then notice the sensations that are going on in your body. Just feel what is this, thought bringing to my body? Like, where do I feel it? Do I feel it in my chest, in my stomach? And just not like being able to be aware of that and think of it as just like you're looking in as an outsider, like you're not really like personalizing it, it's just something that you're noticing. And I think that can be helpful just to help us befriend the moment in a different way, and we are just allowing ourselves to be in the moment, accept it without trying to resist it, without trying to avoid it. That's another way of just bringing that mindfulness as well into it.
Absolutely. I don't have much to add. And we have another question from Ricky. How do we avoid the paradox of trying not to sleep, not to try to fall asleep? What does this look like mentally and physically? Any thoughts, Brittany? I think you kind of like really nicely described it already in the first in your first response, like noticing the thoughts, noticing what is going on in our body, the sensations, and like really. I know it could be like kind of like a conundrum, like we want to fall asleep, but we can't. We feel like we don't. We can't try to fall asleep, but just kind of like from my point of view is like having in mind that we can control sleep and allowing the night to unfold as it pleases, and know that you can always decide in a given moment if you feel like, okay, this is too long for me lying in bed, I'm getting bored, or I have too much of noticing my thoughts and emotions, then you can always decide like, oh, I rather change the settings for a while. I will go for a glass of water, or use the bathroom, or just watch one episode of my favorite show, or just anything, and it's really helpful that you already have the awareness that sleep is a passive process, that what steps in the way is hyperarousal. And the more we try to fall asleep, the more we are begging, the more we are angry at ourselves that we can't sleep, the more it backfires. So already bringing this awareness is a huge step forward, Ricky. And, and rest just evolves. It's like a opportunity. This nighttime wakefulness and the discomfort you are experiencing is an opportunity for you to explore ways how to make yourself most comfortable. What makes sense in terms for you of befriending wakefulness? What did you prefer, to rest with your eyes closed, or you prefer to do some mindfulness exercises, or going outside, or just anything? So anything to add, Brittany?
Yeah, I mean, I love all of that. I think that's all very, applicable. Yeah, and I think just give yourself some grace. This is a season, and I think it's very hard, but try to give yourself that self-compassion, and know that it's it's gonna feel hard, and we don't have to minimize that. We don't have to like say, oh no, it's not that bad. Like
Yeah.
so it's very normal to like feel like it's hard, and that's okay. The key is just to allow yourselves to be in the hard. I think that's what helps us get through it. We have to go through it rather than around it.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so I hope this was helpful to you, Ricky. And we have one more question from Annie. It feels like there is an automatic program in my brain that doesn't let me sleep. What should I do? Any thoughts, Brittany?
Yeah, I think it's what you're describing is hyperarousal that is keeping you from sleeping, but it does feel like you can't really control it. And I know that I had that similar feeling, like I can't control. I wish I could control my sleep, because that would be great. I would just fall asleep whenever I want. But it's not exactly that there's automatic. It's not exactly like that. Your brain is wired not to sleep. We're wired to sleep. Like our body's gonna sleep if we take away the stuff that's kind of masking that our body's ability to sleep, that sleep drive. Mm-hmm. So if you can just find ways to help take away the whatever is putting that brake on your body's ability, that can be very helpful. So it's just a matter of rather than trying to control, taking away that's things that you might be trying to do to control, because oftentimes when we are trying to control our sleep, it just makes it even harder, and we have more of that hyperarousal that just puts more and more of that brake on it. So I think as far as what to do, it's helpful to befriend wakefulness, as we were saying earlier. That's like really helpful first step in the right direction. And then self-kindness, second step. So talking to yourself in a nicer way. And it's hard to catch those moments when you're beating yourself up in your mind, because it's so automatic. As you're saying, those thoughts are very ingrained in us, and many of us have been doing them for so many years that we don't even notice it. So I think just trying to bring a little more awareness to what's going on in my brain. How am I being critical of myself? And so it might be helpful to write it down. Like if you start to notice them, you can write them down, and then just try to rewrite the script. Think of like ways to be kinder to yourself. Talk to yourself in a way that's like how you would talk to 5-year-old version of yourself. So I think that that's a good second step. And then thirdly is kind of that acceptance piece, like being able to allow yourself to be with the thoughts and be with the emotions, and to not think there's something wrong with you, because there's not. Like, we all have those. Even if we don't have insomnia, we have those. We always are going to have things that we don't like. Thoughts that are like troublesome, the emotions that are like, I'd rather not feel this, and then sensations in our body as well that are like, this feels uncomfortable. But we have to like lean into them in order for them to naturally fade away. So just leaning into what it is that you're thinking, feeling, and what's going on, I think can also be very helpful.
Wonderful answer, Brittany. Thank you so much. And I believe this was really helpful for Annie. And we have one last question from Divergent Flyer. I'm planning on going away for a night and I'm worried I won't sleep. The thought of not sleeping is too much to bear. Any advice? I really want to go. So, would you like to go first?
Sure. Yeah, I think that's a very common fear people have. And I remember travel was very scary for me too for a period of time. And I think you mentioned that you really want to go, and I think that's actually a great sign that that we kind of want to like show insomnia that we can still live our lives. We don't allow like we are trying to, when you allow insomnia to take over your lives, it actually gives it more power, and you're just kind of stuck in that hyperarousal mode, because your life kind of is dictated by what the insomnia is doing. So I think it can be very helpful to actually go on the trip, and you may not sleep, and that's okay. Like, that can be helpful, because it can help your brain to like embrace that fear and to like go head on into it, which is part of the process of going, getting through and recovering from insomnia, is being able to embrace the fear, to be able to feel it, to allow yourselves to go into those nights that are hard, and to practice all the things that we were already talking about, like the self-kindness and the acceptance and all of that. And I think it can be very helpful too to be on this trip and like going into it with like the idea that I'm just going to enjoy the trip, and I'm going to have a good time, and what happens at night happens at night. You have no control over that. There's nothing you can do really to force it to go one way or the other. You just kind of embrace it in a way where it's like more, you're doing this more to enjoy, your day, and what happens at night, that's okay too. And you can just embrace it either way.
Yeah, thank you so much, Brittany. Wonderful. And I'll just add like what I used to do when I was in my recovery, and when I was just growing my comfort zone, and it included like traveling. The first night. It's helpful to realize that the first night we sleep somewhere else is always bumpy, and this is regardless of insomnia. This is many people will say, even those who don't have trouble with sleep, like, oh, the first night they have trouble to sleep in a hotel or whenever they are. So first of all, normalize the bumpy nights, right? And then the second thing is that really my first trips, I would always take my sleep kit with me, right? Which included, I had my eye mask, earbuds, my favorite meditation, a sleeping pill, and only just the idea, just the thought that I have this with me and I can use any of it when I need it, that would help me mentally just to kind of feel me a little bit safer. And this has nothing to do with the sleep efforts, right? This is only just providing the safety for myself. And very often the first travels, I would use all of it, right? I would use meditation, I would use eye mask, earbuds, and I would take a pill, and without any regrets, without thinking like this is wrong, I shouldn't be doing it. No, I'm just supporting myself on this trip. So And the third thing I wanted to share is like take it as a practice. So it's really wonderful that you want to go there, that you want to try out, and you know, it might be bumpy, but you don't have to give up on traveling, because this is a wonderful part of our lives. And like Brittany said, like insomnia, the less attention insomnia has, the more we can enjoy our life, right? And and very often, like one of the things that I realized on trips was that I was so overwhelmed with all the new things that for at least, if not the whole day, for some parts of the day, I completely forgot about my struggle with sleep, that I'm not so refreshed, and that I'm not in the perfect physical mental state, right? So that was really, really helpful, like just realize. And so, yeah, I wish you good luck, Diver and Jet and Flyer, on your trip. And I really do hope that you just later on after this trip give us a comment, and share with us like how did it go. So, and yes, Brittany, thank you very much for being here. And yeah, if anybody enjoyed our Q&As and enjoyed the answers of our coach Brittany, you can, I will post the link how to find her under the video. And yeah, thank you very much for all your wonderful questions. And I'll see you next time. Bye bye. Take care.
Thanks.